I first read the story from Jonathan, I was slightly nervous about it being a ballet. I think the difficult thing was there was so much story, and the music's only 20 minutes long, that I was going to really struggle within what to say. So we went back to Jonathan and we made a much more condensed version of the story about what was important, what he really wanted to see. And then we went back and worked with some movement and workshopping. The big decision that I made with Pierre and Alex was not to actually tell any of the dancers the story of what was going on. We wanted the movement to speak and tell the story without them acting, which is very different from the way you would structure a traditional ballet.
And when we got to producing the full piece with the dancers, Martin didn't want to tell them the entire story, so I had to really help the dancers and make sure that the movement represented the story at all times. So when we needed space or we needed to draw the audience's eyes in one conversation or another, that was my job. No.
I think certainly in the second movement, the steps, it became clear as we were learning it what the story was. I think because the movement actually does that, and so we didn't have to act too much. And then of course once I learned the story, you can add like another layer in.
Here, Alex and I had to have a very clear vision on what the story was to enable that to come across to the dancers. But eventually they started to work it out, and actually just before we performed it, we let them know what the story was. So that was our biggest challenge and what we had to do.
Actually, interestingly, quite refreshing, because the way we were sort of interpreting the movements wasn't sort of focused on any sort of narrative. So the way we were sort of working with the steps first, and I found it kind of, then afterwards then we kind of learn the story and it become clearer in the movements once it was kind of told later.
The challenges were, when we got to a certain point, I'd say quite near to the end of the piece being fully developed, I could feel the dancers really wanting to know what their story was, and they were also starting to develop their own story within. And it was hard to not tell them exactly what they should be saying and let the movement speak. But I feel like it was the best decision, because we really got the movement to tell the story rather than any faces or expressions that they didn't need in the end.